Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Gita Mataji Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Gita Mataji Girivardhari Gopi Gita Mataji Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Gita Mataji Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajatana Ranjana Yodanandana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajatana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajatana Yanjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Rakuta Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Swasutam Devahuta, Swasutam Devahuti Aha Datu Samsmarati Vachaha. Tamasina Makamanam Tattvamagagradashanam Swasutam Devahutiyaha Datu Samsmarati Vachaha. Tamasina Makamana Tattvamagagradashanam Datu Samsmarat.
She says sorry, like, no, not you. Not you. This battery should last now.
Devahuti said, oh yes, okay. So Devahuti said, it was not me, your temple president. Devahuti said, I am very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. For because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here the word asad indriya tashanat is significant. Asad means impermanent, temporary, and indriya means senses. First, asad indriya tasanat means from being agitated by the temporarily manifest senses of the material body. We are evolving through different statuses of material bodily existence, sometimes in a human body, sometimes in an animal body, and therefore the engagements of our material senses are also changing. Anything which changes is called temporary or asat. We should know that beyond these temporary senses are our permanent senses, which are now covered by the material body. The permanent senses being contaminated by matter are not acting properly. Sorry, I forgot. Because of the verses, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sorry. Okay, so we were talking about being sick of the disturbance. The permanent senses being contaminated by matter are not acting properly. Devotional service therefore involves freeing the senses from this contamination. When the contamination is completely removed and the senses act in the purity of unalloyed Krishna consciousness, we have reached Sad Indriya, or eternal sensory activities. Eternal sensory activities are called devotional service, whereas temporary sensory activities are called sense gratification. Unless one becomes tired of material sense gratification, there is no opportunity to hear transcendental messages from a person like Kapila. Devahuti expressed that she was tired. Now that her husband had left home, she wanted to get relief by hearing the instructions of Lord Kapila. Once again, the translation by Srila Prabhupada of this verse. Devahuti said, I am very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. For because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance. Gyanya Timarandascha Gnana Salakaya Chakshu Unimilitam Tayana Tasme Shukarave Nama Sri Chaitanya Manopistam Statipamyana Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapandatikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadad Sri Swati Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome, dear Matajis, for this class, and Prabhus, if anyone is listening online. Some weeks ago, there was a class on reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and we marked the places that we wanted to mark. And actually this verse, I marked because it's so significant. Sometimes I'm so sick of this disturbance. What's going on? But when I was told this was the verse I had to speak about, I was like, oh dear. I was once in a japa retreat I think it was in Vashana with Burijan Prabhu. And he spoke about the different disturbances of the mind. Actually, he called them different keys to free the mind. And by the half of the lecture, half of the Matajis had left. And I was like sitting there with eyes. I was like, okay, finally I can understand how to get rid of these problems of the mind. And my friends had also left the lecture. And I came back and I said, like it was great. It was amazing. He told us it's a mess and then we can get out. And, you just had to wait until later. So, no, it was enough just to know that there's a mess now. We just had to go. We just had to leave. And it's happened a few times to me that I've heard some people, no, we don't want to talk about the bad stuff. We don't want to talk about this. So in trying to prepare for this class, I was like, oh dear, because I listened to a couple of classes on this verse, and one can go really into the suffering of the nature of this verse, because at this point where Devahuti is speaking, she's speaking very truthfully about her state. However, we can also understand by Devahuti that it's not like a usual level of disturbance. I was just reading earlier in the 3rd canto, where Srila Prabhupada writes that Devahuti was actually much advanced in the performance of 8-fold yoga. And he goes into saying, so she could follow the rules and regulations, controlling her breath, so pranayama, control of the mind, meditation, and also self-realization. He also writes that she was a yoga lakshana, or one advanced in yoga. So in this understanding, we are not talking about, in some sense, a usual, let's give up, I can't be bothered, I'm going to sit in the corner and sulk there, I can't do anything more, There's not this, it's like more of a deeper understanding that yes, this place has some sorrow in it. Most of us have experienced something of suffering in this world, unfortunately. And at this point, I don't go into the whole level of it, but at this point where one has an experience like, yes, this is really too much. I can't take it. I don't want this. It's too much. At that point, one has a choice. Huh? One goes further, push into it, or one then says, Krishna, please help me. Somebody, please help me to understand how I can get out of this ignorance. In the next verse, I won't go too much into it. It speaks about the main point of then taking shelter in a bona fide devotee spiritual master. Yeah, so we have approached, and many of us who, when we found our spiritual master, we experienced this some sort of light entering, or a lightness of being, in terms of finding somebody who can give us the real questions, or one can say a rope out of this well, because what is this? An abyss is some, an abyss? It's like some big, deep, dark place, it's like really like a hole. I'm a bit of a visual person, so it's really to be inside. And at that point that we realize that we need, I only have a very small experience of this. I've lived in a temple now 10 years, and as some of you know, 2 years ago, 1.5, when I got corona, I became very sick. Maharaj was also very sick. I was very sick at this time. And it was my first time. Everything else had floated through, sick for a little while. I was really stuck a little bit. When you have problems with your health, as one realizes as we get older, the body is not there, then those light things that one can give and do naturally become a little bit more tough. But in the same way, there is some sort of helplessness that falls in this. Maybe you've had it. You just have a huge headache, or you cannot do the things. If you have corona, you're completely stuck, in some space. In this moment where we turn that suffering into this plea or this cry, things can change very much. This call that we hear from Draupadi, she goes to all the seniors, everybody that can help her else. Nobody can help her. It's at that moment when she cries for Krishna that he comes and really gives her that, what is the word? He gives her protection. He gives her that, what she needed to overcome her suffering in this moment. And I was trying to think in terms of our own daily lives, how in the last couple of weeks, the Matajis that I spoke to told me Nothing is majorly wrong, everything is okay, but just a little, a little headache or a little under the weather or something. Just a little, dragging a little along somehow. That's a few of you told me this. And sometimes we can have this in spiritual life where we are feeling a little, what's the word? A little, not how we would like to feel. Yeah, we would like to see the Lord and feel ecstatic 100% of the time, or not 90 or 80. All of the time we'd feel ecstatic. But the body comes in. This is a part where we understand material senses. I am cold, I am hot, I am tired, I am awake. All these emotions, what's the word? Element of us having a material body. These elements just come in. It's just like, as we call it, the material nature. And one part that's very interesting here is that she says, I am sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. We also heard a million times, I am not the body, I am the spirit soul, right? But I understood, what does it mean? What does it mean? Some devotees told me, okay, we hear this, and yet now it goes, shh, and then out this other ear. So what does it mean? I am not my material senses. When I normally think, oh, I'm cold, Indian bodies, we are often cold. I'm cold. I sort of become one with the cold. It's like, what are you, and someone's talking to you outside, someone's trying to, and you're like, yeah, it's just cold. And they're completely fine with a thin jumper. Normally I have to go with 4 layers on just to feel normal, right? So this is it's just a conditioning of the material body. At one point, of course, one has to deal with it. I just have to put on my 5 jumpers or however much, and then be able to reduce the influence of these senses and carry on. In connection with the suffering, I was trying to think, what is the opposite that helps in such a situation? And I thought also, we filled out different themes that the ladies would like to hear from, and one theme was kindness. So this is one of the first qualities that is spoken about in 26 qualities of Vaishnava, being kind. And in relation to suffering, I was just thinking, when you're having a bad day, it could be anything, it could just be the time of the month, it could just be anything has happened, something. At that moment, one of the best things, and most of us will remember, is somebody acts in kindness to us. Something, like for example, if I'm cold and someone gives me a jumper. It's happened a few times. Yeah, I was in Golokadam one time. It was when Krishna Kshetra Swami was getting sannyas, and there was no room. And my German-bodied husband said, we will camp outside. Yes, I will camp outside. And 4 of my god siblings said to me, Gopi Gita, it's quite cold outside. There's still some frost. Will you be okay? Yes, I'll be fine. No problem. One of them, my godbrother, was Guru Haritam present at the time. He said, please just take an extra sleeping bag. I don't think I need it. My husband's fine, but I will take it. I will take an extra sleeping bag. I took 2 extra sleeping bags. I was still freezing outside. Could just hear the wood. I was like, really, I'm not a camping person. Husband, asleep, completely fine, feeling very refreshed afterwards. This was, but I was very grateful for the kindness that devotees had come to me in understanding a situation I didn't even understand. I thought I can take this. It's a small thing. There were other things involved in this, but still. And it is when a few days ago we had Sangita Mataji, a Prabhupada disciple, speak to us ladies in the ashram over Zoom, and she mentioned to me, I think she also mentioned about this element of Srila Prabhupada and his human kindness to others too, his ability to see people, his kindness, compassion, and genuine concern for others, to see what is necessary for somebody and to give appropriate information. It's the same as we learn when you go on Sankirtan. You can't just say, here, take this book or you'll go to hell. You have to present it in a way which the other person can really take. I also remember being quite sick, and there were sometimes some comments which really hurt, like it could be that illness is a mode of ignorance, or that one is this, but at such times it's not helpful to get better, So the kind element of where we are is seeing what is necessary for this person. When seniors speak to juniors, it's amazing how 2, 3, 4 years later, that junior will still remember what happened. When I came here 10 years ago, I remember just getting sick with the flu and remembering that I had no family here. Nobody was here and like this. And then, of course, my surrogate mothers, Nandimukhi and Narahari, came with some medicine, with other things, without me asking, with some food, just turned up. And in that moment, I appreciated I wasn't alone, that there were others who would take care, and these were devotees of the Lord. Simple acts, of what we do. I also noticed recently how there were some new people in the ashram, and the other ladies in the ashram were also taking care nicely. There's small elements where we help one another out to get us out of this element of, okay, we're suffering. Because generally in the world, as we know, in the last 2 years have been quite tough with the situation, the worldwide situation. In the temple, I would say we have been mostly protected from any gross influences. Of course, there was some sickness, but most of us, we were fine afterwards. But still the influence was there, amongst the community and our understanding. I was speaking to one of the devotees who just come back after some time. I said, the younger girls in the ashram don't know what it was like to have a festival here with 500-600 people, or anywhere actually. They don't know, not that there was 1 million people here, but how that level of association, of sankirtan, of singing, is so enlivening. It cuts through so many layers sometimes. It was never that, oh, Julia, yet did you have the experience of a big festival yet? No, it's like a whole, for example, or this experience of having a festival without fear of sickness, or this sort of joyful exchange. Even outside we have to be careful how many people. So some small things have been taken away. And on this element, when something is taken away from you, what's very nice afterwards? It's very nice when it's given back. When something is dear to you, when it's given back. When something you haven't experienced. I imagine the best flavored ice cream you never tasted, but I just told you about it. I didn't. And then I finally give it to you. And you taste it, and it's as amazing as you were told. In the same way, sorry, it's a mundane example. Spiritual life also involves so many layers. When there is suffering or some bad times, when we have gone through it and experienced it, we can then heartily be open for the good things in life. I come from an artistic background. There is not a picture, even our spiritual pictures, where most beautiful of the pictures, there is the shadows that create the brightness. You see some very amazing pictures. We have this huge Krishna book. It is of Lord Krishna with peacock feathers all around. And if you see below, there is the shadow behind, and it has to be painted with dark color, some darkness. But here it's all illuminated and bright. And that is the element sometimes of our material life. Real spiritual life, when we're really in Goloka Vrindavan, will be different. The shadows don't have to be there. But in this material world, sometimes the suffering can lead us onto this other aspect of kindness. I usually do an exercise. I didn't know if we wanted to do a little one or not. What do you think? Maybe we can do without paper this time, because I have paper, but we don't have to. Just a small one. Just for a moment, if we think of somebody who maybe needs assistance or some support, if we can just let our attention be brought to this person, maybe it's a devotee or a family member, like this, just a moment. So, dear Nishingadev, Prahlad Lakshmi Nishingadev, please help us. please inspire us now to think of just some ways which we could show kindness to this person to help them in this time. Just whatever is within our capacity. Some moments, it just takes a few moments to think of somebody who you know might be going through a bit of a heavy time. Could be an ashram, could be outside. And what could we do? Just think for a moment and then we'll brainstorm a little bit. I will write on the wall, not on the wall, I'll get in trouble, on here. What could we do to show some of our notes of kindness? And also, if there is some element where there might be something that we are also suffering for, how could we also show kindness to ourselves? What could be useful for us in that situation? Think for a moment, I just get myself ready. So, for example, in the last couple of years, we see how many devotees call out to the Pujari, often Ramananda, for prayers as somebody will leave or is very sick. It's almost every second day or daily that he sends prayers and it comes. So he would say it's his duty, but I would say it's his act of kindness that normally straight after Mangal Aarti, when the prayers are being said here, he makes a video and with full heart he prays for that devotee. He prays to Lord Nrsingadev specifically for that person and what may be going on so that they can have some solace in such times. So I would just write that there, praying to the Lord. Pray to the Lord for that person, huh? Did anyone think of something? Yeah. Oh yes, sorry, you took a window.
Thank you so much. Yes, this reminds me of something what is going on at this moment. Kadamba Swami, His Holiness Kadamba Swami left and he went to check because he wants to guide and pray. God sister of mine was leaving her body. It can be any minute. She has cancer. She's quite young. I don't know her age. A very nice couple. So he called Maharaj, and so Maharaj is there, and yeah, she must be suffering on the one hand because cancer is quite hard, you know. And on the other hand, okay, Maharaj is there, so the blessings, the prayings. So this suffering related to praying to the Lord, it reminds me just right now of this wonderful soul who is undergoing a lot of pain, material pain, you know, because suffering has also another component. It is purification, but this is the final part, final journey. This is the final journey. You know, when you suffer, you think you're getting better, okay? You think it's temporary, it's purification. You're happy it's purification, but this is the final journey. Especially for those she will leave behind. Maybe they are not devotees, and from a material point of view, you feel pain and you're lamenting. So that's quite a tough situation at this moment.
Yeah, Maharaj said she is not just over 30s. She does not think it's 40s. Very, very young to the contemplation. And it's not an easy situation to go into when someone is leaving. Huh? I've worked in a hospice for a few years. It's easier if someone you don't know, but it's, a disciple, and it's a very part. It could be anyone, yeah. Yeah, and it's just this week, this Sangita Mataji, she's a palliative care nurse, as we heard, and she spoke about it being, it's a necessity, right? When someone is to leave to show this. I wrote visiting the sick and also the dying because we also had 3 years ago, Nikalananda Prabhupada disciple. He was very sick, I think, with brain cancer. I'm not sure, but a cancer. And he was staying locally. He arrived and the devotees were very kind. They did regular kirtan. And just as he was leaving, they kept on kirtan for the last 24 hours. And he left in a very auspicious way, in this way, So this was like...
Maybe you can add that one as well. Visit and chant the holy name of the Lord.
Chant holy name. Anyone else? Chant holy name.
It's also about giving talks to
Giving time to speak to... sorry.
words of acknowledgement, just to share time and to give opportunity for for exchange and talks about the topics which are most close and important to the person, also about Godhead of course, and just generally caring with everything which is just needed, materially speaking, but also in spiritual ways.
To give prasadam or gifts, small gifts, what the person likes or feels better than. For example, for you, Gopi Gita, a sweater or a jacket if you feel cold, and for someone else, sweets or
Yeah, it was difficult for someone. I was for the first time in my life on a sugar-free diet, just for 1 month. I don't diet. I don't like the idea. 1 month, and people came and said, "We wanted to give you something, but we cannot make anything without sugar like this." And it's very hard, because I could not have nothing, no honey, nothing, it was very... So it was very kind when somebody gave some sweets, they'd really fought and they just gave me something, the whole... I have actually no sweet tooth, but during the sugar diet, I wanted to eat everything sweet. So it was like this. Nani Muki, thank you, yes. So it was almost appropriate gifts for what is needed.
I would say some encouraging words and supporting the person. So give some support.
You fought? Oh, and she gives...
Sandrina. At this time when I was, I'm not so good, and when I felt that the people give me time to, dass die haben mir Zeit geschenkt zum Ankommen, diesen Raum gegeben, the room for to become, to get arrival for myself.
too shy. One beautiful thing that Jadurani gives is this talent of her for music. Huh? She sings very nice. Huh? Yes,
Yeah.
the kirtan with the ukulele.
Yeah. Wow. I remember when my mother-in-law left her body, my daughter was Kiti Kumari. She was about 20 years, something like that. She came over from Mayapur, where she was a teacher. And the thing she did is she brought the Bhagavad Gita and she just started to read all the way. And constantly the Bhagavad Gita, just reading. So, and when my mother-in-law left, okay, she said, Haribol, Haribol, Haribol 3 times. And she was leaving the body? Yes, and she left. Wow. And it was all while she was reading the Bhagavad Gita for hours. And in that stage she left. Yes.
Amazing, huh? It's amazing. So, Bhagavad Gita. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Yulia or Samira or both of you that said one time you were on the streets and it's difficult, but sometimes you gave a book and somebody was really grateful. They were like, oh, thank you so much for this information that you have given. Thank you so much. Now you can see actually every time a book is distributed, it's kindness, right? Because we depart spiritual knowledge, but one in such a way sometimes people really appreciate it, like that they have. I saw this also. Distributing of books, huh? Books. Eva, kannst du etwas denken? What's kindness in German? Such a long word. Fürsorge. Wow. Fürsorge. And in Indian or Gujarati? Kindness? Huh, yeah. Kush? Yeah, Kush. Happy. Kush is more happy. What was this? Pia, what was this? We don't have this word in this verse, yeah. Wir haben dann überlegt, kannst du denken, jemand, das hat vielleicht Zeitprobleme oder so, was könnten du vielleicht machen? Daya, huh? Daya. It's a soft word, daya. It's like a whole, yeah. This is sort of softness of being. Was kann man, jemand, du musst kannst du ein paar Moment so überlegen, was kann man zum jemandem machen oder tun oder geben, wenn du siehst, dass sie halt so schwierig seid oder Schwierigkeiten. Kirtan, maybe, yeah. So just take it to a kirtan like this. Take the person to kirtan. Prasadam, yeah. And that's prasad support. Did quite nice, so quite nice list. Yeah. Anyone add any more? Because sorry. Okay.
To understand the person, which situation she is, to understand. Everybody wants to understand the feeling of understanding. So
So, this is a very big, nice list. If we look at it in one level, I think, just thought as I was writing, it covers nectar of instruction, 6 loving exchanges. Huh? We have giving, prasadam, gifts. Prasadam or gifts also include things like the Bhagavad Gita, information, and also this element, more details of opening one's mind in confidence and giving that sort of support then there. So encouraging words, support, encouragement, all these level, trying to understand one in their situation. It's quite nice. There was some detail there where, as Yulia, you mentioned, to give a gift or present which is relevant to the problem or the suffering that person has, like with me, with a jacket. If you give me I don't know, if you give me a sun hat, it maybe not be the right thing to give, but to see and to take that time out to see what the other person needs to help them. Sometimes when we're younger in spiritual life, we can sometimes give someone the wrong medicine or say the wrong words, and then you've done it like, oh no, I've done it, said the wrong thing there, you know. So sometimes it really takes that sort of delicacy to say, okay, let us understand that we all will go through some level of suffering in this world. That's not going to change. It's just an element of material world. The main part of our life, of our consciousness, is to see what we turn the suffering into. You know, we cannot, in a lower mode, if there is suffering, others want others also to suffer. But as devotees, if we transmute this energy of suffering to understand what do I need and what can I give to others, then we turn the simple thing into wonderful acts of kindness. And in that moment where we can uplift others, we are also uplifted. The Lord looks very kindly when we are serving the other devotees in such ways. Oh, Samiri wanted to share something. Were you able to hear? Or no? Or you just passing? Yeah, no, because you had this look which wasn't go away right now. Oh, Krishna. There's a Gopi Gita. Sort of. To see. Krishna was kind that it didn't get me.
I don't know what to say.
Oh, you know what to say.
No.
Oh, did you hear the exercise? No, okay. So we were just speaking there on kindness, and we just had a short moment to think about something who may be suffering in the ashram, outside oneself, and to think of different ways which would show an act of kindness, what we could do to help. Oh, you originally jumped in.
I just see that one point is missing for me personally is to talk to friends. Talk to friends is so important. Like, talk about what is bothering you exactly. With friends who are close to you, you can trust to, because it's helping so much, and they can support you. They can maybe also guide you or give you some hints, and this is always helping me so much to talk about it.
Very. Nanimuk is calling you. Or is it the wrong? Okay, sorry. So yes, talking to friends is very important. Yeah, this is the next, we go even deeper into levels of kindness. That was a test. You see, Julia showed her kindness by bringing 1,000,000 cloves for my clump. That's the first. This I didn't manage to do before. Knocked a glass of water. But yeah, but this level of talking to friends, it's like this. So when we are in a trouble situation, there are different people that we speak to. So we spoke about, the next verse we'll speak about the need to approach a spiritual master. That's on a high level. We also, most of our contact will be with mostly people on our own level. So in this way, the cultivation of friendship is very important. And all these matters cover most of what we spoke about in terms of friendship. Some devotees told me it's one of the hardest things to really cultivate. And also they have told me in the time it's very difficult to speak about a problem and two things come up. One, not to speak badly about somebody if it's related to somebody else. And the other part is also not to repress oneself, you know, so it's like getting a balance up of being able to express to someone without. And I recently left a message which he kindly answers to Mahatma Maharaj on this point, you know, how do we dealing with matters but appropriately, because it can be that we like I have a background in counseling, so it's usual for me for people to speak. But also as counselors, one has to be, you have different parameters in place, you know. So for example, you allow very much that person to be whatever they are. They're angry, they're mad, whatever. You allow them because you're enabling them to get to the next spot. So, and in a confidential space, I would still say after years of experience and trying things the other way, it's very useful to have a confident person that you know will not blab to everybody, that you can truly express yourself. It is unfortunate element in life. Some exchange happens and we may get angry. We may have some emotions that actually we don't really want to have at all. But sometimes we must acknowledge them. They are in our consciousness just to be free of them. So in that moment, it can be a counselor. It could also be guru. But actually, ideal, often what's needed is a good friend. We don't need many, but just a few where you can really reveal your mind and you know that person will give you advice in a level that you can take it. A good friend isn't somebody who will just tell you what you need to hear, because that could lead you into trouble. So one has to see, a friend is somebody who will give you a rounded view, and where they will hopefully say it in a way where you can maybe take it or accept it. You know, this is at least my understanding, where you have encouragement, and sometimes, you know, I find sometimes as a friend, the other person just wants you to hear without a judgment or advice or something which which you may give, which is always difficult for me because I'm a very practical person. It's like, oh, okay, let's go here. But so on the other level, all of these elements of kindness are just there as a reminder that actually it's very nice that they were all very present. We're all a little shy to speak sometimes, you know, but it's very good just to remember these parts. I'll end on a quote from an article called Being an Instrument of Kindness by Radhanath Swami, His Holiness Radhanath Swami. In the ending paragraph of this article, he says, "In my last 22 years of services here in Mumbai, my single most important priority has been to endeavor to create a community of genuine devotees who really love and serve others, not just superficially caring, but genuinely kind and loving." Okay, so anybody want to add anything more or say anything? Samir. Yes, sorry, because I put you on the spot and I apologize already, but you came to it, so that I didn't want to look in this direction.
I really like... So just by listening to the quote of Radhanath Swami Maharaj, what just came into my mind was that to be kind and serve with love is like in the beginning, or for some people, even for me, it's sometimes hard to just serve and accept your service and do it with gratitude and just have this inner mentality. So, and then talking about don't do things superficially, I understand that, but I also heard, and please correct me, that sometimes we have to start in a superficial way to come to a point where it's not superficial anymore. So can you say something about that, please?
Are you talking about fake it to make it? Yes. So, yes, I understand this. I come from London. I'm used to wearing jeans and other things, but I put a sari on. Everybody says, "Oh, nice Indian girl." Where are you from? Yeah, like this. And you're like, hang on a minute, I have a personality crisis here. What's going on here? Let me put my jeans back on. It's the same with devotional service sometimes, you know. You're like, okay, I surrender devotional service. What can I do? Can you go clean the toilets? Yes, Jay. Next day, clean the toilets. Jay. Fifth day, clean the toilets. Don't they know I'm trained? Don't they know my background? Don't they know I have to clean the toilets for? Ranat Swami gave a lecture on this. You know, we should really put our full heart and soul into whatever we're given. I'll say, okay. It's part of it, I think, in terms of we cannot truly fake it. I think part is that we put our endeavor. Okay, I'm not so happy about what I'm given, but I'm doing it. One has to have a choice. I've seen it before. Others say, no, I'm not doing it. So they made a choice to say, no, I don't take this opportunity of service. But most of us will think, okay, I don't want to do it. I'm not ecstatic about the service I'm presented with, but perhaps there's something deeper behind what I have to do here. Once, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, I was at the manor, and Urmila Devi Dasi, Mataji Urmila, she gave a Nectar of Devotion class on this chapter which speaks on offering everything to Krishna. And she said, try it, you know, make a cake, something you love to eat, give it to Krishna, and don't take a bite for yourself. Distribute it to the other Vaishnavas. And we're all looking at her like, wow, yeah, because in this moment we were like, And I think it is this matter where most of us are like, we can be authentic in that, okay, I'm not really wanting to do this. It may not be to the whole world you say it, but certainly to oneself, I don't want to do this. And then you do it anyway. It's just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, at the beginning part, it says you may not fully accept everything, but what is the word? Theoretically, you accept that it could be possible. So theoretically, we accept that maybe cleaning the toilets could help us on our path to Krishna. You know, like this. So it's like something in between. I have seen other devotees who switch off all of the motors. Okay, I'm a service robot. Huh? Whatever you say, do. And then you ask, are you okay? You're like, yeah, go. I think for some couple of years at least I was a service robot. Huh? So there was not so much thought thinking. I was just, let me go. And at one point, most of us, and I saw it also in the ashram, you have a little bit of a moment where you just collapse a little bit. You know, it may not be a big thing, but you just realize the days stop having so much meaning. The different things that you've managed, like Mangalati, tick, chk, you know, lecture, tick, shh, like everything, yeah? But you're like, yeah, went to lecture, yeah, great lecture. What was it about? About Krishna. Anything more? No, at least it was happening to me. At the moment, something had switched off. And this was part of my fake it to make it process. So at this moment, I had to do, years ago, they had something they called japa reform, which was a moment in time, maybe Mataji also, a matter of time, they realized people had lost that association with chanting. You go and someone was speaking, they have the japa in their hand, Hare Krishna, and then you know, you're speaking and like some new people come and say, aha, this is the chanting. Yes, it's japa meditation. And then it doesn't look like meditation to me. What's going on? There's the element of japa reform, where we're going back to the roots of what we knew, what Srila Prabhupada gave us, and to think, why do we do it? And for me, at least, I had to go back. Why am I doing this? I have to remind myself sometimes daily. You know, Sachinanda Swami said, you know, wake up and remember, you know, I am a child of God. I am a child of Krishna. I am a servant of him. Literally, things that made sense to him, to remind ourselves in the morning. Why am I chanting? I still often think, okay, Krishna, like, I have so many things in my mind right now, the children and this, and please let me chant the names for you. these small moments of consciousness that help in this moment. So I'm not too much of a fan for long-term, superficial. I do believe that even at the very beginning, we can be real, but realistic with what we have. But it is like this. A child doesn't like to brush their teeth. But you're not saying that as a mother to chastise them. You want them that you don't have to go to the dentist or they don't have toothache. And one has to just train oneself in this way. And yeah, I would also say that sometimes the end result of pure devotional service is absolute beauty and serenity and light. But that journey there is sometimes full of rocks and waves. You just have to pray that the path that you take, at least as help for me, is the right path for you. That you're not giving yourself too much of a hard time or an easy ride. That somewhere you're going in that path forward. At least for myself. Give some. Because other times you have like a whole, I tell you as an artistic background, when you meet people after some time and you cannot really speak to them on a deeper level, you cannot connect to them, you cannot really have a relationship based on Krishna with them, it's just on the superficial outward covering, then one is limited if that's all of your relationship. It's just in the same way you cannot have deep relationships with everybody, right? But some people there has to be. If not, then you will seek them elsewhere, like this. So the cultivation is very important. Funny. I like this fake it to make it, like a whole. There's a beautiful program where they somebody dresses up, but they train very hard to fake being, I don't know, an acrobat person or something like this. But the point is, they're not faking it in the end. They actually like really make it. They make it because they genuinely become like this. It's the same with our process. I could not understand, coming from Indian background, why a lady would throw herself on the floor. It seemed very unladylike to do. Sorry, I say, I want my Guru Maharaj, he was kind enough to invite me for darshan the first time I saw him. I didn't know. So I was like this. Pranam, of course, this is one level of obeisance. And then it had to be explained to me on a deeper level for me to actually then do it. I was really like difficult case in one sense. This chanting, I was like, up at the old bars, the grandmothers do this. In the Christianity they have this rosary. Why you want me to do this? I was told I can wait till I'm old, Now we can sing and dance. This is not a problem. This is what people do of my age, in my 20s. And then it was fine, And then we were in London, and they were dancing Harinam, and I was like, oh my goodness, I see my brother there in the Harinam. Oh my goodness. And my friend was like, no, it's good. I was like, no, this is not good, I know people. And she joined in. My friend went, and she joined into the Harinam, and she's very cool, She was cool, and I was just looking on the edge, thinking, I'm not sure of this stuff, And of course, when it happened, like the whole many difficult things, like I was not sure of Guru, like they call spiritual master. My brother told me a spiritual master, and I was like, what is this? Spiritual master, like some Reiki Kung Fu master? What you doing? I don't mean at all in this to be offensive, but I just mean the thinking and the working of the mind was a show of my outward or my internal suffering or my ignorance of thinking that this is anything that I needed to relate to. And my ability to stay cool and away from it all was my inability to relate to what was happening. Of course, when I try something and I'm convinced by it, don't stop me, I was the regular on Saturday night, Harinam, London, here we go, let's begin, let's try this. I have spoken of japa because I was not sure about it, but I was sure on the people. I was sure that Satchidananda Swami knew what he was talking about, even though I didn't get it. So I thought, let me go on a japa retreat. We were on this island in Croatia, was Bhimikadashi, and we should chant 64 rounds and not eat anything, not drink nothing. And I was like, no, something is wrong here, but I had to break the fast, eat, and then I chanted my 64 rounds, which many of us had to do actually, who are not used to. So it was a balance of what was needed. But after many japa retreats, one saw really the potency of chanting. I'm like this. I needed to really see what it meant. I needed to sing and dance fully in a Harinam for the Lord, to understand and appreciate what it meant. I needed to chant with all that I had, to the point I didn't want to chant anymore and still keep going. And Krishna gives you a bang on the head, literally. I think I told you this one time. I was in a Japa retreat in Vashana on a hill, and we were in a canopy. Oh no, I'm over time, 2 seconds. And then this huge pole higher than the ceiling fell all the way down and on my head and whacked me out. And someone said, quick, call. I was Sangeeta. And Sangeeta, she can do Reiki. Sangeeta's the one who's been hit, like a whole. And this was the day before 64 rounds. I was completely concussed, concussion, where everything is a little bit in schwindelish, so like this. And I lay, then I chanted my 64 rounds, and it was the most ecstatic feeling on the planet. I cannot explain it, So sometimes a bang on the head isn't a bad thing. Krishna gives us everything that we need. Like this. Sorry. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. And like this.